everybody, it's Mark Brody. We're here at my studio, and today we're going to be doing the thin set process of taking your stepping stone kit and putting it onto the stepping stone itself, just like you would do for any mosaic onto its substrate. The choice of mortar that we're going to use is the thin set, and this is the container which I'm giving out in my kits, and this is the amount you'll have. And you can see that this amount will cover this surface, and you'll have plenty. You'll have a lot extra, but I still want you to use all of this up. So what you'll need to do to gather to get this process going is have your mosaic completed to your specs, have your stone out. You need the contact paper that I've already cut for you. You're going to lay that on here to hold everything so that we can flip it upside down. And you'll also need a board, an extra board that you'll sandwich over your artwork so that you can do that flipping. This doesn't get used yet. We'll be mixing up the thin set mortar first and then applying it onto here. So there's a few steps to this. One other tool you'll need is some type of trowel to put the thin set onto the substrate and make it really the right amount, also nice amount. So what I think I'll do is go through how I know that I'm done with this and ready to do the thin set process. The key to it is you want to make sure that you haven't built your mosaic larger than your substrate. And so these substrates happen to be 11.5 inches. So you want your piece, your mosaic, to be under 11.5. Probably 11.25 is as big as you want to go. And if a piece is sticking out just that little bit, then you just need to move that in there. So it's good to take a ruler and check your lengths here and make sure you're at 11.5. Make sure your spacing's nice and even. The work has been done on a board so that we can flip it later on. There's your drawing with the design underneath that I was working on, and the sticky mesh also. So what you do is you take away those pieces of blue tape that was holding down the sticky mesh, and check really closely that all the tiles are with the groove side facing down, so you don't see any of those extra lines in here. And you've really got to look closely for that, because you'll always find one later on, and it's a little bit of a bummer because the grout shows in that a little bit. So anyways, this is ready to go. I'm going to take my contact paper, get the paper off of it, and stick it down. I just take the corner of it and kind of tear it with my fingernail. Pull it away. Hold on to this paper. Hold it gently, not tight. Bring your hands together so it creates a little bit of a low point there in the center, and just push down and push outward like that, and capture all of the tiles on here. If you're a little bit off center and you had tiles that didn't get cut here, that didn't get covered there, you can take it with a scissor and trim this side and tape it over here. So that everything's covered in one piece. I gave you a little bit extra, larger than 11.5 inches, so that you had a little bit of like kind of goof room to play with. And then take this paper and you rub all the pieces. You're getting it to stick from the sticky mesh to the contact paper. So you're rubbing really well here, especially those little tiles. And I hope you were able to use a lot of full tiles in here, because that makes the whole process a lot a lot easier, and I think it makes the pattern present itself better. Putting this project together, I really enjoy the design of it. These two interlocking rings coming together. I looked for the symbolism of the Solomon's knot. It's about maybe two people together, unified, equal, or it's a person and divinity connecting there. So it's the connection of two different things. So, did that rub. Hold on to this. Still need it later. I'm going to take the sandwich board, put it over the top, put one hand underneath, one hand on top, and just gently turn it over like that. I know that's a big risk, it feels like, but if you have taped both sides and then you have a board below and a board above, there's no movement going on. Now I can take away my board. I won't need that. Can pull away the drawing, the design. Now I want to get the sticky mesh out of there. Sometimes you use the sticky mesh can stay in there, but I don't like to use it on many of them because it kind of blocks the thin set from the tile. And this is really small sticky mesh, so that's why I'm getting rid of it. So you got to kind of wiggle it away. You're pulling, and if a piece comes up, you want to put it right back down. But I'm wiggling, and because I pushed it down with that paper, it's holding on to that better because the contact paper is stickier than the sticky mesh. This can be used again for another one, but sometimes there's little pieces of glass shards in there, so I will toss this. Now I can see that all of the bottom size pieces with the little ridges in, they're showing themselves up. I can see them, so I know that the tiles are in the right direction. So now I'm going to take the thin set and mix it up with water, and I'm going to show you that process. I'm also going to tell you that there's a product out there called Acryl Pro, and this is a good pre-mixed thin set. Comes in white, about out of this one, but this is already mixed up, and so this is a handy thing to have for other projects. You can do it on this one, but I've given you this. This is a little bit stronger, but this will do fine, and then you don't have to mix it up. Because I know mixing it up, you're a little uncertain as to the amounts you do. So now everybody has a mask of their own, so we will be using that when we're doing the mixing. And the reason why is this thin set has really fine particles, and you don't want to breathe that in. So I'm going to put this on, try and speak clearly with this, and take the water. And if you have something to stir with, I use a popsicle stick. That will work really well. So I say about 4 parts of this to 1 part of water. And I'm just kind of doing it by sight. So I'm going to pour in and stir gently. I don't want any splashes, and I don't want to kick up the dust. And you won't be able to see this too well, but there will be one way to show you at the end. So I'm pouring in a little bit more. Always pour in really slow and gentle so you don't throw in a little bit of, so you don't put in too much water. One trick you can do that I probably should have shown you at the beginning was you can take like a spoonful of the dry stuff and just put it off to the side, so that if you needed to later on use a little bit more and mix it up, you could have that. By mixing it all up now, it's a one-shot deal, and you want to get it right this time. So by pulling a little bit out, you might have that opportunity to do that later on. So one more pour in here. It's starting to get chunky, and I want it to be smooth, like a heavy peanut butter consistency. and I'm digging down to get all the dry stuff off the bottom. And again, it's chunky again, I see dry stuff. So one more time, pour in. And I'm just gonna say, you don't have to get it exactly perfect, just like this, this consistency. Sometimes I made it a little bit thin, sometimes I made it a little bit thick, but you don't want any dry chunks in there. So try to stay away, try and break up all those dry chunks. I'm gonna give it one more splash because I found a little dry chunk there. So I'm stirring this, and then I set it down and leave it for 10 minutes to set up. That's an important thing to do. Don't use it right away on this because it's not ready for that. So I pick it up, and it's going to stick to my trowel, hang there. It doesn't have much drip to it. That would be a little bit too thin. I think this one's a little bit of a heavy mix that I'm doing there. I can add a touch more water and I'm still gonna be fine, and I'm telling you that so that you feel like, you know, there's a range in which you can make it and be successful. So this is a great mix because there's no more bubbles in there or clumps. And see, that's gonna fall off really slowly. That's the kind of mix you want right there. Okay, so the thin set is all set up, and now we're gonna put it onto the stone. You can wear gloves. I'm just gonna wear one glove on my left hand. I'm gonna do all the work on the right hand. That's not gonna get dirty. You can wear gloves on both hands or no hands, as long as you wipe this, the thin set off really quickly. So this stuff is hardened up, and I gotta stir it up one more time so that it's a little bit more, I call it flexible. It moves around a little bit more. And then I'm just gonna pour it onto here. And I'm gonna use just about, you end up using about 2/3 of the amount. We're gonna start with that, because the name's thin set. You want a really thin set of this. Here's a really good plastic trowel. I picked this up at, through my supplier. I think you can get these at Ace Hardware. I have a few of these that I can sell you also here at the studio. 3 sizes here. I like to use that medium size here. And you want to put it on really thin, so you're spreading it across like you're raking sand. But you don't want to leave any extras around. So I can tell I have too much on here, but I will pull it off in a moment too. I fill those little cavities there. This is not the best stone, but it'll work fine. And you do want to work quickly with this. You want to do this in about 5 minutes, this process. And if you get some on the sides, you can wipe it later on with your hand. Don't worry about that. It's not, nobody is going to take notice of that later on. Okay, so it's all covered, but now I need to pull away the extra, because any extra in there is going to squeeze between the tiles. So I want to get it nice and smooth and not pull it too many extra times, but I want to make sure that it's really nice and even. I'll take this tool, wipe it away, And now do one more time here. Really create those highs and lows, but take away the excess. And you can hear I'm kind of scratching it and pulling away. Sorry, I should be going the other side so that you can see it better. But you see I'm pulling away there. I'll just get this one little bit there. And that's good. So with most mosaics, you're going to take this board and you're going to gently put it over the top of here. But it's because doing it the other way is crazy. You don't want to really lift this up and turn it over there. Let me tell you that. So what you have to do is lift this big guy up. Here you don't want your fingers touching. Maybe this is why you want to have that second glove on. And then you put it over the top. And don't fear if it's not totally on there, because we can pull it across the whole thing. But now you got to take it, the same thing, and lift it and flip it. And this is where it gets kind of hard to do that, because these stones are pretty heavy. I put it down, take off the board, then I look really closely, and I see that it is too far down there and needs to pull up here. So what I do is I pull on the tape, the contact paper, and I just gently pull the whole unit into place and get it centered. Smack it down. And then I'll take this and I'll rub it in. And here's where you gotta kind of watch what you're doing, because if you rub really hard and you see the white stuff squeeze up the thin set, then it's totally locked in there. It's very secure, but you got a little too much mortar underneath it. So you're not gonna rub too hard at first, but you're gonna go all the way out to the edges, because these little guys on the end, they're very close to the edge. And you want to be careful that they're seated in the mortar well. And you just rub like hell, if you can, if you don't have too much on there. And then you're good. You can take a look at your edges and see if you need to, gosh, I need to pull that back just a little bit. If this one tile here didn't sit very well, I can take it and I can pick it up and I can reset it in there in a better place. But don't get into a habit of doing that too much. You really don't have to. You just want to leave it alone after you've pressed it out really well. Leave it for, if you can leave it overnight, that's great. If you really want to see it after about 4 hours, you can gently pull it away. This stuff probably won't be good anymore, but you could take a little bit of the leftovers and put it into a bag, and if you needed to use it later on, you could do that. So you see that there's still stuff in there, you don't really need to use this, but if you wanted to store it for later on, when you pulled it away, you could use this stuff for about 3 more hours, and then that's about it. So maybe 3 hours is a good time to check it. Okay, hope that goes well for you, and I have a grout video on this same YouTube channel, Mark Brody Mosaic, if you want to take a look at that. All right, good luck. Bye.